What's up, YouTube? This is your man Mos Grand. Welcome to the lab results. In this video, we're going to show you whether you need to buy one of these or whether you need to leave it in the store. So stay tuned and watch the whole thing, and you're going to find out how the unboxing video goes on the new MPC Renaissance from AKAI. So first of all, there's plenty of unboxing videos already going to be done on this, but first and foremost, I want to say give a shout out to MPC University, Young Guru. He does a great job of showing you what is actually on this kit so that you don't have to go watch yet another unboxing video. There's cool stuff that you can see just in the pictures already on the box without even having to open it up. But this is not an empty box, by the way. This is the real deal. But I want to talk about a little bit why I bought it, why you might not want it, and what it's designed to do. First and foremost, let's talk about why did AKAI need to do an MPC Renaissance and completely reinvent their game for bringing beat making and beat production to the music industry, when it's already been done 3 years earlier by Native Instruments with the new Maschine. And as of the recording of this video, the new 1.8 from Maschine just dropped today. So for a lot of folks, getting 1.8 on Maschine or getting 1.0 on the MPC Ren may not be a good deal. We'll talk about why. Today, everything being done in the music industry is being done in the box, or what we would say all of the work is being done inside of the computer on the digital audio workstation of your choice, whether you're using Logic, Pro Tools, Sonar, whether you're using Ableton Live, Cubase, Nuendo, even Fruity Loops, Acid, whatever you like. Most people are doing all of their production in the box, the effects, the beat making, etc. And with everything being done in the box, you got one little problem with the MV Nation as well as with the MPC Nation, with all of that stuff being analog and still being old school in its production workflow and production techniques. You got to route all of that analog signal back into your machine, back into your DAW to do the recording. Now, Native Instruments had already taken care of that with a Maschine, and they really brought the heat to the market by getting people this combination of hardware and software to do all of your beat making and production completely in the box. You can record out from your machine and bring all of that sound into the digital audio workstation, your DAW of choice. And so for the MPC, that was a little bit behind. Sampling rate was better, a lot of cool stuff. And now this product is about 3.5 years old. I've had mine since the beginning. Notice mine says keyboard, not pad mode. This is the original Maschine, not the stuff they got out now. And we'll talk about this a little bit more. On the other hand, about 3.5 years ago, AKAI came out with the MPD 32. Now this is a controller unit that's got MPC pads, a few faders here so that you can control the applications that you're working with, as well as do some tuning on the application. Now this came with an editor, so if you don't have the things you need already to go ahead and build out the controls for the application you're using, you can use the editor to build out those tools for you. But one of the things that was missing from the MPD 32 is that it wasn't made for any particular type of software, which created some gaps. So if you wanted to use it with Ultrabeat, or if you wanted to use it with Cubase, or you wanted to use it with Beatscape, or even Battery, you always had to jump through a few hoops to get it worked out just right. And it wasn't like there was really a large community of folks building templates that you can download to use with any program that you wanted to start making beats with. Now today, they've gotten a little bit better. If you look at Motu's BPM, they've got a template for BPM that you can download and start basically getting that hardware software combination out of the MPD 32 with this. But I've already bought Maschine to replace this, and I only use this occasionally because it didn't work out the first time. But the reality is the MPC Ren is trying to do what this should have did 3.5 years ago. And the only reason I believe AKAI got in this game is because Native Instruments showed them up on one of their flagship controllers here and showed them how to combine software with hardware in really imaginative ways. So we're going to put that aside, talk a little bit more about the Ren. Now with Renaissance, one of the things about this, if you're planning on buying this, who is this for? If you've already got a laptop, whether that's Windows or Mac, if you got a laptop but you don't have a digital audio interface, then you probably should think about buying the MPC Ren. If you've already got your studio set up like I do, then you're probably going to look at the Ren and say, man, is this overkill? Because one of the things you're going to notice right out the gate is that, look how big this box is. This bad mamma jamma is not designed for portability. This is designed to sit on the shelf, on the desk, and do all of your beat production in one location. There are no bags that you can put this bad mamma jamma in, so you're not going to be porting this around from one studio to the next. You get your files, put them on a glyph drive, put them on a LaCie, and then move from studio to studio and download your stuff into somebody else's MPC. So that's one thing to think about. But the audio interface on it, I think, is pretty swift. You got two mic ends on here, and you've got MIDI, you've got some SPDIF interfaces on here. You can hook a turntable directly up into it. It's got a ground, as well as phantom power for your microphones on here. It's got a USB hub, so if you want to hook up your keyboard, I got a Roland Phantom keyboard that I use for all of my music writing, along with some other controllers, and I got some other gear in here. But you can hook all of that stuff directly up to it so that you don't have to have yet another piece connected to it. And basically it becomes the hub for your PC, hub for your Mac, hub for your laptop, so that you can run all of that stuff directly into your MPC Ren. That's clever. Now here's the rub with them putting the audio interface in here. This audio interface only does 24-bit by 96 kilohertz. Now my TC Electronic, it does 24-bit by 128 kilohertz. So it's a little bit higher on the quality of production. And some people may say, well, 96 kilohertz is high enough. Well, it's high enough today. But as you notice with music industry, as audiophiles want to get more and more bandwidth in their production, they're doing it with larger and larger sound quality. And so they're going beyond Blu-ray, beyond DVD to get that high-end sound, because you don't know what future sound may be. So you may run into a brick wall today, but not too much of a brick wall. The other thing about the MPC Ren that I think is kind of crazy is that this is a 32-bit application. So while this hardware controller hooks up to the MPC Studio software, this MPC Studio software is only 32-bit for both Mac and Windows. Now with it being 32-bit for Mac and Windows, that means you're not going to run 64-bit plugins inside of the MPC Studio. You can run this inside of a 64-bit DAW, but the whole goal with 64-bit is that you get more memory so that you can address more RAM, bigger samples, more layered sounds, more lush, whereas 32-bit systems are limited to 4 gigabytes of RAM, and really 2 gigabytes of RAM are usually used up by the system, so you got about a gig of RAM that you got left over. And so it's kind of interesting that AKAI will come out in a 64-bit world with a 32-bit application. When you look at the manual in this, it looks like it was even designed on Windows XP when Windows 8 is getting ready to come out in just a month and a half, and everything in the world is 64-bit, and even the Mac OS has been 64-bit for quite a while, since 10.6. So not sure why they did the 32-bit, but not a fan. The other thing in terms of the apps on here is that you got some apps that come with the studio, but there are 4 apps that come for the plug-in for the MPC Ren that you won't get on the Slimline, and you won't get on the iPad version of the MPC Fly. The 809, the WUB, the Noise, and all of those different types of plug-in, they're only included in this version of the box. Now with Maschine 1.8, you're getting massive. If you've got complete elements, you've already got other instruments that they've been giving you for free. And so I wouldn't get really concerned about the fact that this has got 9 gigabytes in the sound library. So there's 6 gigabytes and then an additional 8 gigabytes of sound. The amount of sounds from a gigabyte standpoint really doesn't make a whole hill of beans of difference to me, because it's what they sound like. And I would say that the MPC Ren sounds really, really, really good. But when I use my Maschine, I'm using Maschine with the entire complete library. So I got way more sounds and effects than what you're going to get in this because of how I use my Maschine. And Maschine is also 64-bit. Now here's the thing, this is 1.0 and this is 1.8. Maschine was lacking a lot of core features that MPC players needed when this first came out. But the thing that was cool about Native Instrument is every update for Maschine has been free. If you got Maschine the day it came out, you've essentially gotten 8 new machines over the lifetime of it. Whether you just came in late or came in early, you have been getting more value out of your Maschine every day. And with the new 1.8 drop that came today, you're getting massive with this, as well as you're getting a new ability to stretch your samples and make sure that they can connect to the beats that you're trying to produce without you having to spend all day chopping them up. Now, if you look at the MPC minute videos that AKAI put out, you'll see Molly Mall talking about that he can take his Rex files that are chopped up already, drop those Rex files into the MPC, and they retain the chops that he had, and he can start producing immediately. You can do that with the Maschine. You also hear Pete Rock and Premier and Q-Tip talking about that you can take all of the files that you've ever had on an MPC from the MP60 all the way through and play them on the MPC Ren. You can do that on Maschine too. And then you talk about the vintage mode. Well, the vintage mode is just an algorithm because this is not a vintage piece of gear yet. And so what they did is they got the MPC 60 and the MPC 3000 vintage mode so that you get that extra crunch, that extra sound that was contemporary back in the day. You get the MPC 60 and the SP 1200 on the NI Maschine. So depending on what you like and what you want to do, you know, this is immediately portable. This has to stay on my desk. And even if I don't want to carry around the big machine, they got a small micro machine that you can carry around, and the software is the same whether you get the big machine or the small machine. Software is not the same if you get the MPC Ren versus the MPC Slimline, because you're going to get those 4 plugins that only show up in this version that won't be in the other versions. The other part about this MPC Ren that I'll tell you is that the software only works when the hardware is plugged in. With Maschine, the software works without the hardware. And so you don't have to be stuck worrying about, do I have to have this hooked up and connected in order for me to produce what it is that I'm trying to produce. Just different things that when people are looking at and trying to make a comparison, you won't get that information until you take this out of the box and figure it out for yourself. But what I will say that you need to think about, that's super important, for the cost of the MPC Ren, you can get the Native Instruments Maschine Mach 2. You can get the first generation Mach 1, but you can get the Mach 2. You can get a micro Maschine Mach 2 that just came out. Get your white, get your black, get your templates put on there, whatever. And you can get a complete Core 6 audio interface for less money than you can get MPC Ren. What? Think on that for a minute. You can get all of that stuff you need in here. Get a smaller version so that you can tote that around in your back pocket. Get a controller for it, an audio interface for it. Have the same software, the same experience across the board. And then with all of that for less monies than what you're going to spend on a AKAI professional instrument MPC Ren. Now, me, I like music. I like things that help me produce. I like to create. And every piece of gear takes you in a different way for your workflow. And so I wanted this because of the fact that when I bought my first MPD 32, it didn't do what it was supposed to. And so I'm giving AKAI basically a second chance. And with that second chance, we're going to see what the Ren does. I'm going to keep it. I'm not throwing anything in the trash. I'm not getting rid of it in my gear. I'm not passing it on to no little shorties because I keep all my stuff. Because every time I've given gear away, people have given my stuff away. They don't appreciate vintage when you give it to them. So I'm keeping everything, and I'll give it to my heirs when they come of age, and we're gonna represent it like that. So that's it. That's the time. Check it. Go buy what you want to buy. I'm gonna unbox this, get it out of the box, and see what else we got in here for you on the software side, and show you how we can do some production. One love. Peace, y'all.